So last year, the first Magic Speed was based off of the Meta Racer, the lower stack height partially plated racer. Well, this year, the Magic Speed 2 gets a complete redesign and is now based off of the Metaspeed. So do these changes improve the Magic Speed and make it a great training companion to the Metaspeed? Well, after a few runs, I'm ready to give you my first impressions. First off though, just a quick disclaimer that Asics did provide this shoe for the purpose of review, but that does not influence my thoughts or opinions of the shoe. But anyways, let's get on to the specs. The Magic Speed 2 has a stack height of 37mm in the heel and 30 in the forefoot, measuring World Athletics. If you want to measure just the stack height, it comes in at 31 in the heel and 24 in the forefoot. Either way, this shoe gets a 7mm heel-to-toe drop. The weight comes in at 6.9 ounces. The shoe cost $150, and I put this in the plated trainer category. So now let's talk about what's new in the shoe overview. The upper is made up of engineered mesh. The tongue has no padding, but there is some slight padding around the ankle. The midsole uses a top layer of Flight Foam Blast Plus and a bottom layer of regular Flight Foam. Sandwiched in between is a full-length carbon TPU blended plate. The outsole uses Asics grip rubber and has full coverage in the forefoot. It reminds me a lot of the Metaspeed Plus outsole, but thicker. Talking about the fit of the shoe, I found that the length fit true to size, and I don't think I would go down a size at all, though I did find that it was a bit roomier up here, so I had to tighten the laces a little bit, but I do have a foot that's on the more narrow side. Moving on to the ride of the shoe, I thought it was super smooth. From heel to toe, there was a nice rocker. It's not the same rocker found on the Metaspeed Plus. It's going to be more similar to the first Metaspeed, so you still get a nice rock off the toe. The upper was comfortable. It's kind of one of those, lightweight training uppers, not a super specific, like minimal racing upper. The Flight Foam Blast Plus and the plate did add a nice pop off the toe. However, if you were hoping that this would be like a plated Novablast, unfortunately, it is just not as soft and bouncy as that shoe. I think the plate with the firmer regular Flight Foam and the kind of thicker rubber outsole stiffens up the ride. It makes it not as energetic. Because of that, I did find that this wasn't my favorite shoe or the most comfortable when kind of going slower paces. However, it was nice and snappy when picking up the pace. Alright, now it's time to do a few quick comparisons. First up, I'm going to compare the Magic Speed 2 to the Metaspeed Sky and Metaspeed Sky Plus. So the Magic Speed 2 is the training companion to the Metaspeed Sky and Metaspeed Edge, so they do share a lot in common. Some of the main differences are, of course, that upper material is going to be a little more durable, a little more padded than the minimal upper on the Metaspeed Sky and Edge. Now, as for the midsole, the Metaspeeds use Flight Foam Turbo, the flagship high-end foam, while, like I mentioned, the Magic Speed 2 uses the top layer of Flight Foam Blast Plus and the bottom layer of regular Flight Foam. The rocker on the Sky Plus is very aggressive. I found that this one was not as aggressive, and that this shoe was actually more similar in geometry and plate placement to the first Metaspeed Sky, where they both have the plate at the bottom and they have a pretty similar rocker too. So if you like the ride of the Metaspeed Sky 1, you'll probably like the ride of the Magic Speed. However, like I mentioned, it's not going to be as energetic or soft as the Flight Foam Turbo Foam. It's going to be a firmer feeling shoe. So for race day, I don't think the Magic Speed 2 is going to replace your Metaspeed. But if you want to save your Metaspeed for key workouts and race day, I think that the Magic Speed 2 does give you that similar ride, that similar feel in a more durable, training-oriented package. The next shoe I'm going to compare the Magic Speed 2 is the Novablast 3. So both of these shoes have nice minimal uppers and Flight Foam Blast Plus in the midsole. However, these two shoes are pretty different. I really enjoyed the Novablast 3 for everyday runs, long runs, easy runs, and it does a pretty decent job at speed days as well. However, the Magic Speed 2 does better at up-tempo runs at speed day and is a decent everyday trainer, but not my favorite for recovery days or long run days. So I find that the ride of the Novablast 3 is much more bouncy, much more energetic, and the Magic Speed 2 is a lot firmer. So one is not a replacement for the other. They are both complementary. One as more kind of do-it-all trainer, and this one definitely more for speed days. Finally, I'm going to compare the Magic Speed 2 to the Zoomfly 5 and kind of the Zoomfly 1. So both the Zoomfly 5 and the Magic Speed 2 are plated training companions to their flagship racers, the Vaporfly and the Metaspeed. They both have nice rockers and have responsive rides. However, I think that the Zoomfly 5 is just very heavy and there is a lot of foam underfoot, and it kind of takes away from being a more speed feeling shoe, while the Magic Speed 2 is nice and light. You still have the cushioning underfoot, but it's a lot more speedy feeling. You can pick up the pace a lot easier in this shoe than you can in the Zoomfly 5, in my opinion. And honestly, the Magic Speed 2 reminds me more of the Zoomfly 1 and 2, but just a little softer, maybe a little more energetic in the forefoot than those two shoes. So if you liked the early Zoomflies, I think you'll like the Magic Speed 2. So in my opinion, the Magic Speed 2 gets a lot of great improvements compared to last year. Now it's more on par with what you see in the Metaspeed series. I don't think this is a replacement if you're looking for a cheaper version of the Metaspeed Sky or Edge. This is definitely a training companion to those shoes just because it's not as energetic or as light as those shoes. Plus, this one can take more of a beating with more durable foam and outsole and upper. So I think that this is a good companion shoe to a marathon racer, one of the flagships. However, even in the plated trainer category, this has a lot of stiff competition. There's some other brands that come in around the same price that use the flagship super foam. An example of this is the Endorphin Speed 3. And to some degree, like the SC Trainer uses a lot of fuel cell foam, and it comes in like $30 more. So I do kind of wish that Asics used at least like a little bit of Flight Foam Turbo in the forefoot here, or made this thing like full Flight Foam Blast Plus like the Novablast 3. Anyways, I need to put more miles in the shoe, put it through all the race paces before I give you my final verdict, which will be in my full review. So subscribe so you don't miss that. Thanks for watching, and as always, keep on running.